While Australia battles to work out how to achieve enough baseload electricity to replace coal-fired power, the UK has announced its first move into mini nuclear reactors in a deal with Rolls-Royce. Business Editor Ross Greenwood joins us live now. Ross, there's some news out of France this morning too on this. France is increasing its nuclear energy as well, bearing in mind that 70% of its nuclear comes from electricity comes from nuclear. Anyway, that's France. Going back to the UK, I digress. This is part of Britain's plan for net zero emissions.
That's it. And so if the contrast is there, and we heard from Jonathan early talking about what the Prime Minister's doing here today, putting more money, $500 million, or $1 billion in total, but the government $500 million into a fund, effectively to try and build up carbon capture and storage, to try and create new technology, to try and reduce Australia's emissions. In the meantime, France, as you say, and the UK are going a different route, expanding their nuclear reactors to be able to try and create mini nuclear reactors which go to regional areas. So this is a deal that, as you say, they've done with Rolls-Royce. It's worth about $546 million. That's the government's input. The company will put its own money in and match it. And so as a result, they believe really this is one way in which they can do it. So the contrast between Australia and what Europe is doing is really quite stark. And of course, politically, we won't go to nuclear. So let's hear now from Kwasi Kwarteng, who is the Energy Minister in the UK, just explaining this deal today.
I think this represents a fantastic opportunity for people in the UK, but particularly people in the region. Small modular reactors, very much cutting edge technology. They give us baseload, they give us the ability to have a secure energy supply, and also critically it means something like 40,000 well-paid jobs in this area.
Okay, well, from the UK to the US, Ross, where shares in the world's most valuable company, Tesla, are also proving they could be among the most volatile.
Well, they sure are, I've got to tell you. So it's only a few days ago that the valuation of Tesla became more than $1 trillion, $1,000 billion. Now, as that occurred, Elon Musk, this bloke here, who's the giant behind it, the wealthiest man in the world, effectively went out on Twitter, as he's wont to do, and simply said, I'm going to do a poll. And the poll is, should I sell my 10% of my Tesla stock? Right? And so he said, if you say yes, I'm prepared to sell. Well, guess what? The survey came back, 57% said yes. And he then goes, I will abide by the results of this poll, whichever way it goes. So as a result, today, Tesla shares have fallen more than 11% on the stock market. So you can see here a little while ago, down 11.39%, 1,029 shares. The company's still more valuable than Ford, GM and Toyota all combined, but it's about the future. It's about what it might produce in the future. Now, it's suggested also by some that maybe Elon Musk has got a few debts he needs to clean up. Maybe that's the reason he's keen to sell. But mind you, if he sells at 10%, what's that, 100 billion US? Not so bad. He's still the wealthiest man in the world.
Yeah, just a little bit of change for him. So let's bring it home now, Ross. And while the banks profit and their profits are booming, a new survey shows where small business is doing it hardest.
Yeah, well, that's right. So here's the thing. The banks have just reported, NAB came out yesterday, so the four big banks combined have made just under $27 billion. The return on the shareholders' money, just under 10%. It's recovered enormously, largely because they have actually reduced the amount they've put aside for bad and doubtful debts. That's one of the key reasons. So now there's a situation where things are open, things are getting good. A new survey's come out from Creditor Watch this morning. So it watches where people are basically doing it tough, especially small business. And they've come up with a list of areas where they believe really business is in danger, the greatest danger. And it comes out that there are parts of Melbourne that really are, as a result of lockdowns, in some serious trouble, in particular Manningham and Monash. But these are the areas, it says, with the highest likelihood of default. There's Marylands, there's Guildford, Bringelly, and also Green Valley in New South Wales, the areas hardest hit by lockdowns when New South Wales lockdowns. And then you go to Queensland, and it's interesting here, the tourism areas. So it's the north of Queensland, the Gold Coast, Coolangatta, where they say business is most likely to collapse. Broadly, they say, however, as soon as the lockdowns have ended, business is open, you can see that things have picked up dramatically. And that certainly is something that the government, the Reserve Bank, and indeed our banks are very much banking on right now.
OK, Ross Greenwood with the latest. Thanks, Ross. We'll talk to you again soon.